Welcome to the episode 15 of the CEO Leadership Series. I'm Dr. Lumu Alusanya. I'm a business consultant, board strategist, and executive coach. And today we'll be looking at 5 things to check in your business model. And what got me thinking about this topic was the fact that a lot of CEOs are complaining about this AI regime they were in, and a lot of people have not seen value how to apply technology to their businesses. And it's important that people look at their business models. Leaders, CEOs look at business models and look for the best way to optimize technology and AI as we move ahead, because technology is definitely a game changer, and you must be able to consider its use, adopt it, learn it, continue to iterate, and make sure that your model can actually adopt technology fully, and you carry your staff along in doing so. It's very important that that is done. So in this video, 5 things to check in your business model right now. We're going to be looking at it in 4 ways. We're going to take a deep dive into the topic to look at the core discourse. Then we look at 2 case studies. After the case studies, then we do a question and answer, 5 questions I'll be answering on this topic. Then after that, we do the conclusion and the call to action for leaders and CEOs. So once again, you're welcome to this video. See me as a guide as we discuss this topic. I'm going to be sharing my own personal experience as a leader, as a CEO, as an executive coach, and as a strategy consultant, and what I've seen in working with clients and boards to deploy strategy and to actually adopt technology and to look at business models and to revive those business models and redesign them and adopt the best competitive advantage possible for the business. So in looking at this topic, you see that 2025, a lot has changed, and the CEO landscape is a minefield right now. A lot of leaders admit that AI has changed aspects of their business, and they know that in a while, in the future, there may be labor shortages, challenges with geopolitics, the tariff wars has been ignited by Donald Trump, costs from climate change and all that. Things are escalating, and you need to be able to look at your business model and see whether it still fits and see how you can reinvent that business model and tweak it to fit the challenges of today. So we're going to look at 5 points under 5 things to check. So there are 5 things you need to check in your business model, and we're going to be talking about it right now. The first thing you need to check in your business model as you navigate this time of uncertainty, of changes, of innovation, of competition, of disruption, is your revenue stream. You want to check your revenue stream. You want to check beyond the basics, what are the drivers of your revenue? Are there any red flags you need to address in your revenue? Things about pricing. Are you pricing right? Are you depending on some products that are not moving or that are not relevant for today or the market today? Does your business have legacy products that you need to phase out, that you need to replace with more innovative products? Those are the things that you need to be able to answer as a leader and a CEO. I need to fix it. You need to create innovative products that will encourage liquidity and cash flow for your business. At the same time, you want to be able to compete favorably with the competitors so that you're not too far away in cost leadership, And at the same time, in terms of differentiation, you still are able to compete favorably, you know. And I think that you should be able to fix this when you see where you think you're lacking. You want to benchmark with industry leaders and competitors. Who are the people that you are likely going to lose business to? People that can actually appeal to your current customers in terms of service level, in terms of quality of their product, in terms of customer service. You want to look at what they are doing in terms of numbers. Are your customers price sensitive? Are you able to pitch value to them and not sell price? Because of the challenges with cost, a lot of companies are looking for who can deliver at a lower rate or at a better price, deliver value. So if some people are able to leverage economies of scale and they are passing those discounts to the customer, you want to address that because that might be affecting your revenue stream. So you want to look at that and address what it is and tidy it up. The second thing to check in your business model is your customer acquisition. You want to look at what's the cost of acquiring a customer in your business and what's the lifetime value of that customer. You want to look at your channels for your distribution. Are the channels underperforming to the extent that you need to review them? You want to be able to look at these things, as you look at your business model. Also, you want to fix technology. How can you apply technology in your customer acquisition? How can technology make your customer acquisition better, cheaper, more efficient? And how can you make sure that the customer experience in the face of customer acquisition is so pleasurable that your customer will want to come back, will want to recommend you to other customers? So look at your customer acquisition costs and make sure that you are efficient in that area. You are not burning so much money to acquire a customer after looking at your pricing, because this actually goes into your pricing. And you'll be able to compare your pricing and your customer acquisition cost. The third is your cost structure. What is the cost structure of your business? What are the cost drivers of your business? You need to be able to address these cost drivers and fix them. Make sure that you reduce your expenses to the barest minimum to be able to take in the cost of running the business and also your administration costs. So the cost of the business itself, the operating expenses, in addition to your cost of administration, you want to make sure you minimize it so that you're not bleeding from that area. You want to identify who are your stable customers and your stable customer segments. Identify that, and you want to be able to retain those customers. Then while you now innovate and look for innovative products that you can add to your stable customer segments. The fourth area to check is your competitive positioning. What is your competitive positioning? And what is your competitive advantage as a business? As a business, if you don't know your competitive advantage, you don't have a strategy at all. Are you a cost leader? Are you differentiating yourself with technology, with marketing, with customer service, with quality? Or are you niche focusing? Are you focusing on a segment of the market? You must be able to answer these questions so that you know where you play and you know what you address. The market leaders, people that are doing better than you, that have better market share, where are they playing? Are they cost leaders? Are they differentiating? Are they niche focusing? You need to decide where to play so that you can stand out, you can have an advantage. You need to confirm what your competitive advantage is and your positioning. Some tricks here and there will do. Areas that you can address are there. Choose your strategy right once you choose how you want to play, how you want to stand out with your competitive positioning and advantage. The fifth area to check is your growth plan. You want to make sure that you scenario proof your growth plan. Make sure that there are scenarios you have in place to protect your growth plan. You must be able to plan what can go wrong. A plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and how to defend those plans. You want to make sure that you are diversified in your growth plan, so that in case one of your plans does not work, you can fall back on the areas that are stable and continue to run it while you continue to innovate as you go along the line. Those are the 5 areas for you to check in your business. You want to check, as I recap again, your revenue streams, your customer acquisition cost, your cost structure itself, your competitive positioning and advantage, and your growth plan. So those are the things to check in your business model. So we'll be looking at 2 case studies to drive home this learnings and this key point. The first is Deliveroo's dark store pivot. Under the CEO, Will Shu, Deliveroo actually had challenges with their food delivery margins. It's a food delivery company, logistic company. So they had challenges with their food delivery margins, and it reduced to about 5%. And this challenge came from their, customer acquisition costs incurred from their riders and the restaurant fees. And while this was a problem, the CEO launched what they call Deliveroo Up. And this was a rapid grocery delivery, that strategy that they implemented, which was driven by AI, and the idea was to use predictive analytics to stock hyper-local delivery in the inventory, focusing on areas where there's a lot of traffic, and using AI with predictive analytics to restock those inventory as soon as possible, so that they can reduce their delivery times. So when they did this, they were able to cut their delivery time to less than 15 minutes. And because of this, they were able to reduce their customer acquisition costs by 40% and increase their their margins to 25. And this worked. This worked because they were able to address the area the challenges was coming from. They look at their cost structure, they look at their customer acquisition costs, and they use AI technology to be able to predict how early they can restock, a lot of stores. And once they did that, they're able to cut their delivery time to less than 15%, and their customer acquisition costs reduce drastically by up to 40%. So at the end of the day, the lesson from this case study is that you want to be able to, sacrifice today's margins for tomorrow's model. You want to look at your model, tweak it to make sure that you address where you think the challenges are coming from with the use of technology if you can. The second case study is about a company called Carillon. A challenge they had a £5 billion revenue collapse and a £1.5 billion debt after aggressive accounting that marks a lot of unsustainable contracts. So they had a lot of contracts that were not sustainable, to the extent that they had a loss of revenue of £5 billion and a debt of £1.5 billion. What are the causes of these challenges? They were bidding on low margin infrastructure projects to buy growth, and they ignore rising liabilities in their pension deficit to the tune of 2.6 billion pounds. And also the board of directors failed. They failed to challenge the leadership, and that was one of the things we talked about in a video about good boards. What the best boards do, they don't take assumptions, they challenge assumptions, they ask questions, and they are not rubber stamp. So the challenges they made was that they had very low margin contracts that they were signing. So you have to know your margin. If you are taking on a business, you must know what your minimum margin is for every business you want to take. Everybody is not your customer. Every business cannot be your customer. You must be able to know that below this threshold, I'm not taking this business. So your pricing must be right, because your business has a customer acquisition cost. It also has operating expenses, admin expenses, and you must be able to carry all these costs with your pricing. So if your pricing is too low, in a bid to get a business, you are undercutting, your price is low, you are not pricing appropriately, you may be pricing yourself out of the market. And the board of the company did not look at these challenges. They were not making enough margins from their contracts. They had challenges with their pensions, and they had a lot of liabilities. They were not paying as I went due, and the liability reached about 2.6 billion pounds. And the board did not ask questions. Boards are supposed to have committees that monitor different areas of the business. And these committee members must be chosen with the right expertise to man these committees. So they come with their body of knowledge, with their experience to guide and make sure that the company is properly run. They are not into day-to-day, but they provide direction, and they're able to check and make sure that everything is well done. So the lesson to learn is that no cost structure can save a broken value proposition. So if you have a value proposition that is not right, is not sustainable, there is no cost structure that can address it. So you have to make sure that your pricing is right, your competitive advantage is in check, just like you said earlier. You know where you are playing and how you're going to be making money, given whether you're a cost leader, whether you are differentiating. That means your customers are ready to pay for value, or you are niche focusing. You're focusing on a segment of the market that most people are not focusing on, and you are extracting a lot of value from servicing that segment of the market with a unique approach, unique product and service that you're bringing to them. So that's the learnings from these two case studies. And business models is as such that you need to tweak them. You need to keep iterating them. Don't assume that a business model will last forever, because the market is dynamic. You are not the only one in the market, and every action of every player changes the dynamics in the market at every point in time. So you must continue to look at your business model and look for a way to iterate when those dynamics are actually occurring in the market. You adjust, you take a position, after adjustment, you reevaluate again. You take a position, after adjustment, you keep iterating. You keep iterating and addressing the dynamics and responding appropriately. That's my own take on this. Now, to the questions I'll be answering. There are 5 questions that in my dealing with clients have come up on this topic. Some of them have been rephrased so that we can discuss them appropriately. The first question is, how do I balance AI investment with return on investment pressure? The technology investment and AI investment I need to make in 2025 and beyond, how do I balance it with the pressure on me as a leader, as a CEO, to return substantial investments, to achieve significant return on investment, you know. And for me, my opinion is that you should focus on your team, on your people. You know, you should focus on your people. Train your team members and your staff to use AI tools that are relevant in your business. Train your staff and your team members to use technology and AI tools that are currently relevant for your business, so that you can get the efficiency you need, you can increase their productivity, you can deliver more, you can increase your revenue, and you can stand out as a company. There is a minimum period or maximum period for learning. People must be able to learn technology, adopt AI as fast as possible, and deploy them and execute. And I find out that most pilots fail when technology, get too much funds. You want to limit the amount you want to spend on technology. You can't spend all your money on technology. Look at your budget. Spend something significant, but not too much that will make other business areas to suffer. So you can start with one revenue generating use case, deploy the technology in that area, and see the impact. And once you see the impact, you scale it to other areas of the business and leverage the efficiencies and the productivity it's going to bring to you. That's how to balance it with return on investment. You don't want to overspend of technology to the extent that you don't have enough money to run the business. So you want to balance it. For example, do you need to automate and you need to deploy an ERP or a software for your entire business? You want to choose a software that you can afford, not the technology you can afford. You have to choose what you can afford. Are there technology software developers, software companies that have solutions for your industry that are affordable? You don't have to use the most expensive technology because you want to compete with another client. As CEO of one of the leading HMOs, what I did was, when it was time to deploy an enterprise resource planning software for the business, I ensured that we picked a software that was very cost effective, that was very affordable, and was going to give us a lot of value for the investment we're making in the technology. There was another software, foreign software from India, that was so expensive, it was going to cost like 1,000% of what we had budgeted for our technology investment. It was the best software in the market. I've tested it, I've used it. But the truth about it is that my business could not afford it. And there was no point trying to use a software that I can't afford, that will actually break my business model. So I ended up with an indigenous software that was very good, gave me the efficiency that I need, gave me the productivity I need, and we're able to provide an exceptional experience for our customers. And that software is still being used in the business today when I left as a CEO and handed over to a successor. So technology is good, but you want to look at your costs and make sure that the technology investment you're making is cost effective. You are getting the most value out of it. And as you now generate value, you have more revenues later, you can now invest in something that may be more expensive if you can afford it. And that's if you can afford it. So you want to balance return on investment with investment in your technology. At the same time, you wait, and you do that. The second question: if our industry or the industry I play in as a CEO is outdated, where do I innovate first as a leader or a CEO? So my own take on that is that look for your highest customer friction point. If you want to deploy technology, where are the pain points in your business? Where are the areas that your customers are complaining about the most in your business? That is where you should look for technology to solve that problem. If you have a problem in an area, let's say customer service, waiting time, processing, and things like that, you want to apply technology to that pain point. Look at the areas where your customers are having pain points in your business and the experience they're having. Rate them from the worst to the least. So take the worst pain point and use technology to resolve that problem. Then go to the next, then go to the next, then go to the next. That's how to apply technology and to look for the best place to innovate from. Because once you do that, the experience for the customer is going to improve, and that will actually, promote more customer loyalty, more sales, more revenue, more retention, and more progress for you. The third question is, how do I reallocate resources without chaos in my business? And my take on that is that you want to look at it from another perspective. Look at your business as if you are a newcomer in the business and you are a new CEO that has just acquired your business. So you want to, run some outside simulations, and a very objective, unbiased assessment of your business by a will-be new CEO that just acquired your company. So look at it and ask yourself, if this business was acquired by a new CEO or a new company, what area and where will the CEO cut costs first? If somebody is new that just acquired your business, what are the areas where it's going to cut costs first? So it's like, taking the position of a devil's advocate and critically assessing yourself and taking a tough decision, because as a CEO, you have to be objective and know where to cut costs when you need to cut costs. The fourth question is, can we compete without massive technology budgets? Are we able to compete in this age and time without having a very large technology or AI budget? And my answer to that is yes. Just like the example I gave, when I needed to deploy an enterprise resource software, I looked for the software we could afford as a business, not the best software in the market. The best software in the market, I could not afford it at that point in time. And I went for a locally developed software that was very good and well designed, very functional, and that is what the business is still using to today. And it's very cost effective, and it's giving us a lot of value, and it's solving a lot of problems, and we're still using it today in the business. So yes, you can win with specialized budgets. You want to look at where to play and use technology you can afford for your level of revenue and income. And as you scale, as you do better, you can now increase your technology costs to be able to, acquire other bigger tools for you to use. The fifth question is, how do I retain talent during a business model shift? How can I retain talent during a business model shift? And my answer to that is that the best way to retain talent is to create a good working environment. Remuneration must be good, because you want to make sure that as you're trying to achieve your goals, your organizational goals, you are also assisting your employees to also meet their personal goals. So you want to protect, in addition, you want to protect your value creating roles. Who are these team members that are in charge of the value creating areas of the business. You want to protect them first, because they are the ones that will keep innovating, innovating, innovating. For example, a company did a survey and they found out that 37 positions in the company out of 12,000 employees were the ones that were driving 80% of the value. For example, R&D, marketing, customer service, for depending on the industry, So you want to protect those roles first because they are the value creating positions. And if you find out that in some organizations, there's a lot of differential pay. These are the people that usually will be paid on a very high salary scale compared with others. It happens in financial institutions, for example. In a lot of financial institutions, like banks, using that as an example, people that work in the treasury department earn far higher than people that work in other departments. And the reason is not far-fetched. The reason is because they generate a lot of value. They are the ones that turn around the investment of the banks. And a small elite group of staff that are vast in investment skills and principles that are helping the bank or the financial institution to generate a lot of value. So they are rewarded every day. They may be paid the same salary, but when it's time to pay bonuses at the end of the year, you will know that they are special because they generate a lot of value. We also want to offer equity, stock options to such people so that they take ownership and they see themselves as part of the business and they are not easily, poached by competitors. And the last thing you can do to protect your value creating roles is to upskill aggressively your entire workforce. Make sure that your entire workforce is upskilling, and people that don't meet up are shown the way out. There must be continuous learning, continuous upgrading and upskilling of all your staff, and particularly people in the value creating roles. You want to give everybody that opportunity at the same time so that you can meet the challenge of innovating and competing with your major competitors. Those are the ways to retain talent during business model shifts and make sure that you are not left out in the cold as other businesses, other competitors are evolving. So in summary, we've discussed the 5 things to check in your business model right now. And those 5 things are revenue, customer economics or customer acquisition cost, your cost structure of the business, as your cost agility, your competitive advantage. And in this day of technology and AI is involved, and your growth strategy and your growth, or what I call your growth scenario planning. Those are the 5 areas that you must check in your business model right now. And as I want to leave you with this, that CEOs who fail to adapt spend 400% more of their time fixing crisis. So you want to make sure that you are not that kind of CEO. Make sure that you adapt on time. Make sure that you check these 5 areas of your business model: your revenue, your customer acquisition cost or customer economics, your cost agility or your cost structure, your competitive advantage, and your growth scenario planning. Thank you for watching this video. I would like to encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I would also like to receive comments, questions from you, and suggestions on more topics I can take. And if you have any questions or strategy, or you think that we can be of support to your business, you can send me an email with my contact on my channel and I will get in touch with you. Until we see again, click on the CEO Leadership Strategy series and watch other videos and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.